Norman Reedus is back as Walking Dead fan favourite character in The Walking Dead, DARYL DIXON, the new Walking Dead miniseries where DARYL DIXON goes on his summer vacation to France. Now, is this first episode any good, or does it go to prove that there's little life left in this walking husk of a series? Let's find out. Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to my review for episode 1 of The Walking Dead, DARYL DIXON. Yes, they're knocking these things out as quick as possible, so it seems. Not long ago did the Negan and Maggie series end. And now here we are with the DARYL DIXON one, where he's in France. Now this one kind of intrigued me in the sense that DARYL DIXON himself isn't particularly a favourite character of mine within the pantheon of The Walking Dead. I know that to many he is a fan favourite character and one of their favourite characters as well. So this episode here, it starts off and we find DARYL DIXON on a boat, on a lifeboat, a little boat. He's tied to it, it's upturned. He's out in the ocean and he washes up onto the shores of France, of Europe. He's over in Europe. I don't know how long he's been at sea, but judging by the look of him, it can't have been very long. It gives you the impression that he's been there for a while, but we don't know. But he gets up, he's walking around fine. He hasn't got no burns to his face from the sun or anything like that, but there we go. So here we go with DARYL. He's there, he's in France, he comes to find out that he is, and we get an introduction to this new world, this new Walking Dead world set in France. It goes through the sort of the stuff that you'd expect it to, a little exploration of the world, him finding some supplies, him finding a book where he can translate stuff, and this leads him across country until he comes into contact with these two individuals, a young girl and her father. The girl can luckily speak English because as ignorant English and Americans, we don't speak many languages. So he gets on with them, briefly, shall we say, when lo and behold, in good fashion, some baddies roll up. You know, it's always convenient timing for these lot. They roll up, a little ruckus ensues and the two bad guys end up being killed. DARYL DIXON gets knocked out. The other two, the old man and the girl, leave. DARYL DIXON wakes up in a convent of nuns. A load of nuns. Nuns with guns. Where he's introduced to a young boy by this nun that he befriends. And they believe him to be a saviour of sorts, a messiah who's there to transport this young boy across the country to another place where he can live up to his calling to be the sort of bring about the new coming of mankind in a kind of very religious undertoned story. And that's what this episode or this series seems to be going for. It plays heavily on those religious aspects. Now, as a first episode, it was pretty good. It was a nice step away from the standard Walking Dead with a nice kind of different aesthetical feel to it. A lot of gothic architecture, old style architecture in the convent and things like this. And the cameraman and the makers are making use of this by having some very low shots looking up at the characters and looking at the architecture and all this sort of stuff. There's a lot of conveniences in the plot, in that, you know, individuals are where they need to be just for the sake of the plot to happen, this sort of a thing. There is a bit of intrigue around DARYL and what's happened to him and how he got to where he is. And to be honest, as I'm watching the episode, I'm thinking this is probably a far more intriguing story than what we're actually being presented with. Luckily, by the end of the episode we do get a sort of tease of that backstory being filled in, and what happened to Daryl, why he was on this boat, and all this sort of a thing. So yeah, it was a decent first episode. It is good to see Norman Reedus back as the character, even though he's not one of my favourites. The episode was better than what I went into it thinking it would be, because I had my expectations rather low for this series. It's introduced some other interesting characters. I can see the young boy becoming rather annoying, because he's like an IQ genius type of a thing who knows everything. He's one of those sort of characters. At least that's how he's portrayed to be in this first episode. The nun, she was an interesting character, and she's got a good dynamic with Norman Reedus's DARYL DIXON, and it opens the world up. It opens up some questions, and we're introduced to a new type of dead, which is called a burner. And when they touch Daryl, the touch actually burns his skin, and it has to be cauterized to stop the spread of well, whatever. Yeah, a decent start to the series. A nice aesthetical change. Some of the special effects look pretty good, although they do look heavily matte CG'd or matte painted for the backgrounds. But there's other on-location footage that does look fantastic, and stuff that we haven't got to see in the Walking Dead universe before. So, decent start to the show. Tell me your thoughts on it if you've seen it.